Here she goes. Please turn out of the way. Hey guys, Wheatywaffle here today, and we are back in City Skylines playing our Rebuild or Redevelop series. We do start today off with a short time lapse that ends around 4 minutes and 30 seconds if you want to skip ahead. But essentially, what we do in this time lapse is build out a train station for our university area, because that was something you guys had been suggesting. A lot of you had suggested it in, I believe, the last part or even the part before that. So, really quick disclaimer, you're gonna see the city in a current state as we do this time lapse, and then we're gonna leave the time lapse and jump into the episode, and the city is gonna look much more filled out. I think right here, what does it say? The population's like 35,000. Yeah, the population's closer to 40,000. And the reason that is because I had filmed an entire episode for us to watch together where I'm detailing new blocks. I fill out all of Ortera. The whole episode was recorded and it was going to follow right behind this time lapse. But then I went to edit the video today, and the entire audio file associated with the video was corrupt and I couldn't get it to work. So essentially, I had to re-record. I had to record a new episode. So we're really, like, in my mind, I'm on episode 23, but in reality, it's only 22 because I didn't want to make a whole episode that was just a time lapse. So I ended up having to record a new episode for you today. So I'll explain what we do to the city once we jump out of this time lapse. Let me tell you what we're doing here. So the one problem we have with adding a train line or a train station to the university is that the way I set up these dual train lines at the beginning of all of this, a few episodes back, was that the line that is the further one from the university is the internal line for the city. And the line that's closer to the university is actually the external train line only. And that was set up in that way because the one that's closer to the university, that's the external line, that puts that closer to the port. And so when we do have a cargo port and we're trying to push things out of the city, it made more sense in my head to do it that way. Now that I'm realizing we want to put in some kind of train station for the university, we needed a way to get access to the further line, but it's kind of built in around these keys, it's built in around these roads, and there was no easy way to reach it. So what we've ended up doing is I lowered the external train line underground, but only for this one segment. So for the rest of the line, it's still above ground. I didn't want to have a massive tunnel or anything, so I lowered it for just this area. And then I have gotten another one of those small, like, suburban train stations, and I've put that into this game. So now we've got a smaller station that is going to fit kind of nicely in this area, and it doesn't have a lot of traffic at the moment, but it does kind of help fill in this space. Don't worry, we fix that because that looks atrocious. We push it back a little bit, but it just fills in this space nicely. It blends in pretty well with what we have going on, and because I've lowered Katy Street underneath of that bridge, we now have a way to get behind, or I guess across the university without having to go all the way around those avenues. So it actually has added in some good functionality for just vehicles and for some of the emergency response vehicles and those kinds of things that we have in the city. And it's just a better way to build this out. So this was a fantastic suggestion. And I like that I was able to use the bike lanes or the bike path roads. I didn't actually build out a bike network, so that's something I still need to work on, but I do think it would make a lot of sense to have some kind of bike network built out. And then because Katy Street now comes to the side of the university that has the dorms, it allows for the students of this university to quickly get around and do what they want to do. But I think we're about to come up to the end of this time lapse. I think I just do like some small connections here and there. So we will jump into the live gameplay, and I'll give you a better overview of what we've done. All right, so what other things happened? Go ahead and hit play. What other things happened from the part that has no audio that you'll never see? We expanded this university area, or at least the land of the university area. So now there is a pretty high up key wall that kind of allows for some additional access to this area down here by the main road, but also gives some flatter land for the university, which I think is going to be really useful, especially as we get some of those larger buildings. We didn't do much else over there. I mean, the big thing is, like, we filled out all of Ortera. So essentially my goal here, let me just make sure these settings are where I want them to be. If we go to options, post-processing, yeah, it's on. Okay, great. Looking at this area, we now have we have kind of a few sections of this city, or of this neighborhood. Also, I don't know what's going on with the audio. You can hear it every time I click on something. Do you hear that? Like, the clicking sound is broken. But the game, like, music is totally accurate. So something is going on. I don't know how to fix it. So we're going to try to disguise that as much as I can for y'all so you don't have to hear it, because it is quite annoying. But the blocks here kind of closer to this metro station are a bit older. They're old style buildings. They've got they're a little bit taller. They're 4 stories for the most part, but they're still older style buildings, brick buildings, been here for a while. And then, as I was hoping, as we move closer and closer to the train station, we've got some taller buildings here, but they're still a little bit older. Nothing too extravagant in terms of the materials they use. None of them are really that modern. Like, even these ones here, I mean, this is still an old school kind of quote-unquote skyscraper or complex. But as we get closer here to the edge and we get nearer to where our downtown will be, I mean, we've got glass buildings. We have really modern and sleek style buildings here. The Mona Spa nails. So we're slowly kind of getting the beginnings of the change in height, and we get that kind of grade of building height as you look at the city. Man, I can't speak. As you look at the city from a bunch of different angles, we start to go up a little bit, which is going to set us up. So when we reach here and we have our highest buildings, we're in a good place. So basically, yeah, what we did, we filled out Ortera in the last part. I'm sorry you didn't get to see it, but I didn't want to do a whole episode that was a time lapse, because I didn't think you guys, not everyone would enjoy that. I know some people don't mind the time lapses, but other people do find them to be a little bit annoying or hard to watch. So I try to kind of keep it mixed up. So we did the train station on time lapse. You guys got to see that. I think this turned out great. Not many people use the train station just yet. It's not particularly popular at the moment. It will get more popular as we build out other parts of the city. Now, one thing I'm not understanding, and maybe someone can help me with this, is both of these buildings have issues with crime rate. And I don't understand service subcategory level. Yeah, I don't understand how to fix the crime rate. None of the other university buildings are having any problems with crime. And if I go and look at our... Oh, that sound is really brutal. If I go and look at our police department, there's 2 right here. I mean, it is green. It's covered. There should not be an issue with the crime rate. And for some reason there is. I wonder if... Let's do this. Why don't we try something out? Let's turn off the collision, turn on anarchy. I'm just going to send a road right up in through here. It's not going to look pretty, but we're going to... You know what? Actually, we're going to get rid of this path. Oh, yeah. I don't know what's wrong with our audio. Hopefully, we can solve it soon, though. Or at least for the next part, maybe. So why don't we send a road straight on through here? And then I'm just going to kind of rework this a bit. But now it has access to a road. I wonder if the reason it was having issues is because there was an extra piece of road in here that didn't belong. Which it looks like we might have dealt with that. Okay, that might have just been some kind of old mistake that we had. But now I'm thinking, let's grab move it. And if I can get... I want the corner of this. Not that corner. I want... Let's do the picker. I want this edge right here. Yes. Okay, so let's take this, and I'm going to actually drag this straight on down. So this road dead ends, but I don't want people getting in their cars and jumping onto the pathway. This needs some trash collection. We'll work on that over time. The rest of the city, everything's looking fine. Nothing like dramatic happened in the last part. Nothing too crazy is going on. What I would like to focus on in this part, let's get rid of this. If it's not connected to anything, you don't need to stay. I'm wondering if it's just like some mod or something that has maybe like not been updated and is causing all of this weird sound. Who knows? We'll send that along to there, so it's now reconnected. What I'd like to do, we were working on kind of getting our population to increase, and we're going to need 50,000 people to reach the next level, which is going to have a cargo hub. And I don't want to build the port until we get a cargo hub. But we are starting to see some increase in our industry demand. I want to keep that going. And we're starting to see some increase in our commercial demand. So what we're going to do another episode primarily focused on increasing the population. And I'm thinking I would like to maybe work on some of this area of the city. Now, I have set this section aside for stadiums. And actually looking at this now, I'm thinking we're going to do a little bit of a rework here. Let's grab our highway. Hopefully, too, when I play this episode back and like you guys get to hear it, it doesn't sound too crazy. Maybe it's just like my computer. I've upgraded to Windows 11. And I don't actually think this might be the first time I've played this since that update. So there might be something with a driver or something I have to go and fix. We'll do that another time. I'm thinking I'm going to send this down to the ground. We've got a lot of bridged highway, and that's not a problem. But I do think I want this to be back on the ground level, send it all the way down. And down this way where it starts to raise up, that makes sense because this is going to end up becoming a bridge. So we want to have some kind of infrastructure or some kind of planning for that in advance. But let's what does that give me? If we go from here to here, here to here, what is happening? From there to there, enter, okay. And then we go from here to here, 3%, yeah, I'll take 3%, that's not bad. Still more than enough room for a train to go underneath, so that's not in the way. And then maybe we'll even, now that we kind of have something set up here, let's take some of these other roads and send them, give them a little bit of a smoothing action there too. Okay, great. So that is going to set us up for just, I think it's too much bridge. We need to cut back on the bridge. That's all I'm trying to say. And then over here, I think the same applies. I think I want to take this particular intersection or this particular part of the highway, and I want to begin to come down. And it might even be that this highway ends here. But I was imagining if this came down, we could add an additional connection to kind of this area here. Or maybe it begins to turn over and it just curves up this way. I don't know. We'll come back to that. So what I do want to focus on though is knowing that we want to have some stadiums over here. Let's just get a sense of the size. If I go to some of these stadiums, say we do the football field, pretty decent, pretty beefy, but we could have this over here. And I would also love to have the basketball arena. So maybe we have 2 stadiums. Do we just build stadiums today? That was not what I was going to do, but like we do have a decent amount of money. We make money, not a ton, but we make money. Let's do stadiums. You know, I wasn't gonna, but I think we are. All right, we're building stadiums today. So the first thing we got to do to make sure that we've got ample space for these things, we are going to want to level out a portion of land. So we're going to come along here. I'm going to, for now, just do a nice straight kind of leveling out of this section. And then we can come back in a minute and smooth everything out if we need to. And I also think that we have this like dense Rico section here planned out. I want to cut this hill down just a bit. And then let's go ahead. I'm going to just double check everything's recording correctly. So yeah, I don't know what happened with the last part, but essentially I'd recorded everything. We were good to go. Like things were looking nice and something happened to the audio. Nothing worked. Let's go back 11. And I'm going to take this and we are going to follow this road. Now it's going to need some, some love. We're going to have to fix some of this. Also, there's trees and things all in the way. I know that this audio issues happened to me once before, but I don't remember how I fixed it. And so that's what I've got to go back to. But man, it's kind of obnoxious sitting here doing this with this sound. It's not good. Can we get, oh great, under 3%. Love that. So now we have some kind of road here that will help service the stadiums. And I think I want this to be a bit straighter in respect to the little area we've built. Okay, so now let's also come down here. Let's lower our brush size. And I want to just raise this up a little bit because I would like to have a little bit more shoreline along here. And it seems to keep flooding. So maybe if we increase it just a bit, we can work some of that flooding out of this section. All right, so we have a little bit of a shoreline, hopefully. And then we've got some side road here. We might just be building this whole area today. Who knows? For the dense Rico portion, I know that I want to have, let's go 20 units over, and let's go out 11. And then let's bring up, can we do this with the topography lines on? If we went an additional 20 units, that would bring us to here. And I'm thinking I wouldn't mind maybe bringing this out just a bit. Let's go to the freeform tool. And in this area, it's gonna have, I want to use the roads to match the landscape a bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I don't necessarily want us to just come in here and force the land to work with what we want. I would rather us try to match to the land a little bit. All right, we'll come back up and deal with that in a moment. How does that actually look? It's not terrible. I think it'll look better if let's take our slope tool and just really, what if we slope from the front all the way? Let's slope from one side to the next. How does that look? That's better. Yeah, we cut into this side a little bit, but I think that's a better connection all throughout. And these also don't all need to be grass lined, but oh well. Is what it is. All right, for here, we're gonna go straight. It does make that a straight line, that's fine with me. This one, we're gonna go straight as well. Let's turn off the curve. Throw anarchy on and make sure that gets in there. It does make a pretty extended intersection, but that's okay. Back here, is this gonna go straight on through? I think it is. I think we're gonna go straight on through. On this other side, if I go to 11 and I turn off our angle, and we just match the side of the train lines, I'm okay with that. I think this will also, let's keep that match going. I think we will send this out all the way, but it's only going to connect up once more right here. So this is going to come out, but this is not going to reconnect anymore to the main road. Okay. Now this doesn't give me access to the opposite side, which is something I'm going to need to work on. And so maybe this road here, we take this up, well, we need 26 to get over, right? Yes, 26. So let's throw our angle again. Take that straight on down. And how much space is this? It's 8 units. Let's do another 8 units to the ground. Okay. Now, for this, turn off angle. I'm wanting this to kind of match the railroad tracks versus anything else. If we turn angle back on, how does that look? That doesn't look too bad. So we'll bring this along this backside. I do imagine that this is going to connect up maybe to like here. So we'll have this road come out along the bottom side of the highway. And then we're going to need to start getting some curbs, some small changes to how this is all set up. And I think I want actually a second bridge road over here. So let's go ahead and come on out, go up to 26, out 8 units, straight across. Don't worry about really any of those connections. Connect straight on down. This road now can come on out. And it can actually, you know what, it can connect to here. Let's do a small little curve. Turn off really all kind of grids and nodes. I don't need any of those. And do we need another? No, we don't need another connection. That would be, I think that would be overkill. All right. For this area, we don't have a train station here, so I think a train station is going to go on this side. Which one is our internal route? This here is internal. I think both of these are actually internal lines, correct? No, this one's coming down this way. It doesn't connect to anything. Hold on. Let's make this easier on ourselves. We've got 3 train lines on this one line, and we've got 1 line on this other line, which that green one is going all the way out to Washoe. And then the other line is servicing really everything else. This is servicing all the way over here to Port Sirepo. We've got North Park, Elk District. Okay. If we used a train station, don't we have, oh, let's use that bypass train station. We can connect both lines to this and we can kind of edit it if we need to later on. Now, how come this doesn't like build here? What was your issue? You don't seem to even know. You have no idea what your issue was. Now, we want to delete the whole thing. Let's go ahead and pause the game. Back all of those up. I'm wondering if we really can place this on either side. Like if it was going off this side, we need to turn back on, turn off collision. If it goes out here, we need to move the train lines. Basically, these are set so that the train lines are going to be in the middle. But if we backed this up and had this here, that would work better. So what if we came in here? Let's place our road. I think place our road here along this edge. And let's see what this gives us. A much better connection. Okay, so we're going to do this here. Train station, done. We're going to connect all of our lines up, although looking a bit crazy. What if we turn off anarchy? We saw that there was a connection here at one point. Hold on. Can't I use the node controller? Yes. Bring both of these guys back. Square it all off. Much better. Okay, node controller. Square it all off. And bring both of these guys back a bit. Go to here, and then we'll hit square one more time. Okay, hold on. I think we're onto something. Let's put a little bit of this dirt back in there. All right. If we hit play, have we made any drastic changes to how these trains work? Or can they figure themselves out? Speed it up. I think they're figuring themselves out. I think they got it. I think if we look at our train usage, 223, 116, 213, 450. I definitely want the east route to stop here. And I think only one of these external upper routes need to stop here. And I'm thinking it might be the north route, the blue route. So if I came in here, if we hid the green, orange, and the purple just for a moment, and even, you know what, even hide these other ones. Let's take this blue, stop it on both sides. And then we're going to take the yellow and stop it on both sides, because the yellow is a much smaller route. And I think, or it's a longer route in terms of distance, but it services a lot of passengers. So being able to have that route a bit expanded, I think is going to be useful. Now, do we How are we redoing this area? Are we connecting these up together? Is that like excessive? I don't think it is. I think if we took this road, gave it a little bit of curve, gave it a little bit of something, made it look real nice. Okay, so we've got this connected up. The blue and the yellow are both connected here. The roads are a little funky, I admit, but that's okay. I think that I would like to bring this out. Is 5 too little? No, 5's perfect. Is 5 perfect? I think I want it to come out 6. Bring it out 6, connect this to here, and then we'll go back to we'll do 20. This is not necessary. This is a little bit too small. So maybe this comes forward. 10 would be here. So that's right along this edge. Bring that out 10. Connect these together. This is 30 units. So let's throw one right in the middle. I think for here, again, we are going to follow pretty close to this highway. We might even bring it in just a touch. And then from here, we're going to curve into following that land. Come along straight here, connect this up. It gives us this nice little smaller area. And I think that this could even, hold on, this could even come on through and connect this way, right next to the train line. I mean, look, it doesn't have to be the nicest place to live. But at the same time, this is some prime real estate. You can't tell me that there would not be heaps of development over here, whether it's old or new. I actually want to connect these two together. Yes, that's a much better connection there. Okay. This can all be businesses or maybe even some kind of small park. We've got tons of road layout over here. This area, leaving something to be desired. I think that if I turn off anarchy, are you able to get underneath? Yes. So I think that this is one of those moments where this is going underneath. I don't know why trees are cutting through again, which is not what I want. Can you go underneath? Yeah, so you'll also slide under there. That's a good connection there. Actually, they're connected to both the bridge roads, which I think is a good thing. And for this one, we're going to send it straight on up. Oh, that's not straight. This one we're going to send straight on up to here. So now that is connected. For this area, I actually don't love this connection. There's a few connections here I'm going to change. I think that this is going to go straight on down into here. It also means that I think I want to change this connection again too. This is going to come straight along the front ends of the highway. Yeah, that's a much better way of connecting that together. Do I want to make some kind of square here? Yeah, that's not terrible. I just think, I don't know, I'm thinking that although I like that this has a curve, I'm liking having this road right along the edge of the highway because that gives me more zonable space here at the back. If I came out 20 units and we went up 10, turn off road guidelines, and that's nearly perfect there. We came out 20 again, we connected here, ignore that. I actually think, better yet, this is 20 units out. Let's go up 6. And let's do a curve. 4 by 5, beautiful. Connect this in. Are we going to slow this down? It doesn't need to be so fast. Alright, this would have some houses on here. That would look great, or some kind of building. But this is going to help fill this area out. Maybe we aren't getting to stadiums today. And then we're now up here. I think that while we're up here, this is going to become somewhat of a gridded area, maybe. Let's just keep it flowing. We get this curved road, comes on up. It will end up coming back down this way somewhere. But I think while you're up here, if you lived in this area, you would want to have houses facing the edge. So the road is going to be facing outward. We won't zone on this side because this is a cliff. Then these houses that are positioned here are getting to see beautiful views. Okay. I think we're going to do some kind of curve here. And actually, if we look over our road layout, it's a pretty steep hill. I think I would rather, let's do some straight roads where we think those need to go, and then we can kind of adjust from there. So if this came out straight here, I think over this way for sure would be a straight road. And then maybe we use this road as our starting piece. So if we went out 10, came over 20, I'm enjoying this 20 lot setup. And I think we'll do 3 sets of this, because this is the flattest portion. But then that's kind of where all this begins to change again, because this is going to come out. I don't hate that. That fills in that spot nicely. But now we kind of get to this moment where we're not, we don't want to keep that same grid going. So if I went out 20 and came out 10, that brings me to here. How far is that? 15? If we took this out an additional 5, now we're at 20 units. So those are connecting. These are connecting. This clearly goes into there. We now have this side as well, where I'd want this to come out from this section. I think this is going to connect up here, although this does start to allow us to go down. So you know what? Hold on. I think that this road, yeah. I think that this road is going to start to curve down a bit. It'll come somewhat straight. We'll do like a nice winding curve down this direction, bring it straight through.
Meteorologists have issued a severe tornado warning for the area. Residents should seek shelter immediately.
All right, severe tornado warning. I don't know why it sounds so crazy, but I will eventually figure out what is going on with the audio. We're just gonna let the tornado happen. Today's one of those days I'm not even gonna check. Oh no.
A tornado has touched down in the area. Seek shelter immediately if any is available.
Oh no. We just built all this though. No. Don't destroy the city. We gotta get some screenshots. Oh no. Here she goes. Please turn out of the way. Okay. Oh, please don't turn back. Please don't turn back. Beautiful. I love that sharp turn you're making. Keep going that way. Okay. Oh man. We'll go ahead and fix some of this. It's not actually in use at the moment, but that's okay. We will get everything up to date. Can I just rebuild this? No, but they're coming to make sure everything's safe. Oh, great. Yes, keep going that way. Oh, my. For a moment there, I thought for sure it was going to hit the downtown, and I was like, crap, there's no way we can handle that. Okay, so we've built out tons of roads. I mean, there's more we could probably be doing here, but I think that... I think that I hate this. That's gotta go. There could be more done here, but also this could be a nice space to, if we increase the size of this a bit, could be a nice space to have some trees. Congratulations. Oh, our oil field updated, which means we got some factories. That's amazing. We are going to work on that. We're trying to get more and more people to live here so that we can get in there and do some stuff with our oil fields. Let's make this a little bit smaller, and let's do, oh, beautiful. End of another calendar year. Love that. This will come out this way. I think this area here would be filled with some trees, and it would kind of give us that buffer. Down here will be filled with something soon. What? Unclear, but for now, let's give it some trees. I can still hear the tornado. Man, what a fun path you're taking. I'm glad none of these changes or turns you've made have diverted you to destroying my downtown area. Why are all these things destroyed? Oh, from the lightning. Does everybody still have power? Port Sereppo does not have power. Again. Man, I need to build in some redundancy for Port Sereppo because this poor place, tornado's gone. Didn't destroy the city. We've dealt with this. We're rebuilding you. You're good to go. All this looks nice. Okay, good. Back to what we were doing. We've got all these beautiful roads now laid out. I think that I want to do a few more trees kind of here along the edge. We'll bring some around. We'll put some down here as well. Try to avoid the cliff side, the cliff face a little bit. I'll do some light taps there and here and there. Especially in some of these areas where there'll be some lawns in the middle. We'll kind of go ahead and give it some light tree coverage. And then down here, stadium. So let's now give all this some water. All this is watered up. This is looking great. Dense single family homes. Let's go ahead and shuffle this a little bit. So we're going to actually give these areas, this here's already good. This is going to be its own neighborhood. We're going to make sure that we kind of cut it here along the highway. Belmont district, or Belmont just by itself. Belmont, okay. And now in Belmont, what are the things that we need? Actually, let's first see. Hold on. There's a fire.
Geologists predict
Another
that a sinkhole could strike at any minute. Residents should take precautionary measures.
God. We can't detect the sinkhole, so I'm not concerned about it. But man, the fire spreading in this place is next level. Like, we know all this is going to have housing in it. Let's go ahead and fill that in. If we're looking at this area, we are going to have some commercial here, kind of along the front edge, maybe in that area. We might have a bit of commercial over here. This area here might just have some trees in it. Maybe some other trees along the back edge this way. Kind of filling in next to that area. I think a lot of this section is going to be houses as well. So let's go grab this. Let's use the painter. That's perfect. It's going to be loud for some of these people, and that's unfortunate, but it's just kind of the cards that have been dealt. You chose to live over here. All this here, this right here can be a little spot. Actually, this is going to be blank. It can be like a tiny little park. I think that in front of the train station, for sure, we're going to have some commercial. I think we'll also then fill this all in with residential. And we're going to replace some of this with parking lots and the like. So it won't all be this. That's going to be too loud. I think this here is going to be services, maybe something like that. It's going to be too loud next to the train like that. All of this here definitely can be residential. Let's take the zoning off of this road entirely so that this can all be residential. I mean, they built right away. They moved right on in. And then because we have the train station here, I think that we're going to have city services to some effect in that area. All of this can be residential. This is a major road, or will be a major road, but I think that all of this can still get the residential that it needs. I think that we'll do residential on this front side, remove it from this back line here. All of this, I think, can also become residential. And then we might need to do some adjustments because of the power lines and things being in the way. But let's go ahead and just fill in this backside of this with some trees. The side that is closer to the train station. Did we do this side? We did. We filled that all in. So we'll just fill in those two areas with trees. I think here we're going to want another tree line right along the back of these homes, just to kind of fill this in. Maybe even that whole little area is going to have a small tree line to it. We'll fill in just a few extras there. Okay. We'll put a few more trees along this section next to the train itself. But now all of this is going to start to fill in. Cute little houses, right? Looking real nice. And then as these begin to upgrade, we'll get a much, like a pretty cohesive look down here in Belmont, which I think is going to be really nice. And then I'm thinking up here where it says Dense Rico, I think we're going to do some individual placements of our roads, of our houses, excuse me, our zoning. Exactly what it's going to look like, I don't yet know, but we will figure something out. All right, let's turn off any kind of collision here. These roads here closest to the business are going to have no grass along them because there's going to need to be parking in these areas. The rest of this can have all grass lined. Some of these will be tree lined though. I think the road that is next to the highway will be tree lined as a way of trying to cut back on some of the noise. Some of those people are going to be really happy about that. I think we'll do one or two that kind of cut through like that, tree lined. That can all stay as is. And I think that this road here can also be tree lined as a way to help mitigate some of that extra sound we're going to get from the train. This area here can also use just a lick of residential. Okay, beautiful. That all looks great. Let's give this whole area some services. We've got power, we've got water. Sewage is right on the cusp, so we're gonna have to deal with sewage probably in the next part. In terms of trash, they're really close to this major transfer facility here. And I also think that we plan to build, let's turn anarchy back off. Let's turn off collision. I think we also place down one of these guys down this way. Why is this like not possible? Like what's in the way? I don't think anything's in the way. So we'll place one of these waste transfer facilities down here because that can really help service this Belmont area, which is going to be great. Let's also go to healthcare. You're absolutely going to need some healthcare. I think we do. I'd love to use this health professional center, mid-sized health facility, somewhere between a clinic and a hospital. It's like not crazy large, but it is somewhat substantial. I don't know why every road is an invalid place to build. Something is wrong at the current moment with the state of my game. I don't know what that is or why it's wrong, but we're going to just kind of move on with our day and not stress about it. I'm wondering if this is missing some assets because it is quite large. But I think we move this so that let's use move it. Kind of shuffle this a bit. I want this here kind of facing the corner. And I think we build in parking lots to kind of hug the back of this building. And we'll just do these kind of ploppable ones for now. Let's do one more. And then we'll use move it to grab all three of these. And we'll scoot them over. Beautiful. So we've got decent parking for this area. Let's give it a path. I think we're going to use one of these tree-lined paths and we'll snap to the grid, which is great. And angle. We want it to go straight. Great, great. And then let's also throw in just a few trees on our own. Throw on the anarchy. Especially to kind of frame the parking lot a little bit. There we go. So now we've got a complex here. Businesses on the back with a health center on the front. We're definitely going to need some kind of death care in this area. And I think that we're going to want it relatively flat, but I think this is a beautiful spot for a cemetery. Yeah, I think that works perfectly. It fills this whole area. This is also one of those places where I do think there would be some kind of elder care. I think that would be something that would be prioritized. So what if we placed an elder care facility here, removed that zoning along the side, gave this some trees, send this all the way down to 1, because how many did this place? 3? Yeah, we don't need that. And we'll even sprinkle in some of these chestnuts into this so that it all looks cohesive. Do we want to have a childcare center in here too? We have one over there. Yeah, I think we do. Let's do one over this way. Yeah, why did none of the roads work? I guess some roads work, but most of them do not. Very strange. Especially areas like this, where like, this is absolutely a straight line. That's a straight path. You're telling me that like this can't go anywhere here? These are old roads. Here's how we figured this out. These are new roads. Yeah, there's something wrong with the new roads I've built in the game. Old roads, totally fine. New roads are a little broken for some reason. Just gonna kind of move through that together and ignore it for the moment. I would like the childcare center to be on the main road. I think that that's important. So let's go ahead and do that. So now we have this childcare center here. It looks like those trees are in the way, but I guess they're not. Right along the main road, which is wonderful. Fire coverage is actually not great. So let's give them a small fire station. It can be... Oh, it could be down this way. Maybe at the end of this community, there's a fire station. Because it's also got coverage from this guy here. There's a fire station here with the one of these watchtowers, so I think that's pretty good. Speaking of these towers, I think we have one that goes up here kind of close to the road. And it helps kind of cover all the new trees we've just placed up this way. Let's do a police station in here. Just do some kind of small... What is this? Rural station? This isn't really rural. It's more suburban. So we'll do one of these kind of headquarters. One of these smaller ones. I think the base game one is a pretty decent one to use. And I think we'll actually throw this in here. Can go right along with these other trees, other buildings along the main avenue. It fits in nicely with this. Let's make that historical. I like that a lot. I also like this a lot. Make that historical. Okay, so we've got all that together. Wonderful. Schools. In terms of elementary school, you guys are really lacking any kind of elementary school. Because we also need a high school in this space. The high school can go right along here. Yes, hold on. High school's going to go right along here. And this road here, okay, actually, you guys, this is no longer going to be zoned for residential. You guys got to go. Okay. Get rid of these houses. They're too close to the train station anyway, so they have to go as is. Give this its parking. It'll be right here in the middle. Beautiful. Everybody can easily get to it. We'll throw in a small path right here. Don't do either of these because we're going to do these ourselves. This little piece of land will get a little bit more zoning. Actually, let's move this so that we get that 1 square of zoning back. Might not happen for us. That's okay. And then for this section here, we're going to need the elementary school. So let's go ahead and grab... I like this one a lot. So I think we place this one down. Scoot this over, and it's just kind of nestled right in here. Right along the highway. So it's absorbing some of that noise because we can't do a whole ton with houses or anything over here. It's just not going to work. It's going to be too loud. Do we have the small playground? How does that fit into this? It fits beautifully into this. I'm a huge fan. There we go, small playground. And then we might even be able to, if we... Let's use a pathway. Bring the path right along the back. If we can fit a tennis, or we really can't, But across the street, or in this little area, all right, I'm going to say let's do a basketball court instead. I think that's, I'd rather see a basketball court. Place a few trees over here. What's on fire? This downtown has got some serious issues with fire protection. Do I not have one of these watchtowers in here? I mean, I thought that I did, but it's obviously not enough. So let's throw another one down. That's all parking lots. There's not really a good space to put one. But right here, inside this fence, next to all of that, can go there. Oh my gosh. Go ahead and rebuild our university that literally keeps falling apart. Goodness gracious. And now we've got better fire coverage, or at least ability to see it as it's happening. It's really getting crazy over there. What were we building? We were placing trees, which is not helping the fire issue. 3 trees here. We'll place a few trees here, but for the most part, we're going to leave this, I think, somewhat open, just so that there's some green space around. Oh, that's looking really cute. Nice small little town, starting to connect the old build with some of this new build, which is fantastic. We definitely need to think about public transit, and that's something we're going to work on probably in the next part, I would say. But I definitely want to do some public transit. We could also entertain maybe a tram of some kind in this area, and we can also work on this area up top. This does have some parks now, which is wonderful. I think you've got all the services you need. The only thing I would like to add is a post office for you guys, which I thought was in transportation. Cable car, monorail, airport. This is all of this. Maybe it's here. No, it's in industries. Yes, here we go. Because you guys definitely need a post office. I think that the post office could go right here in this corner. Pretty much services that whole area. And then we'll have a second post office on this side of Belmont. And is there any areas not zoned at the moment? All of this, make it residential. We'll fill that section in. All this is residential, which is great. I think for the first time in episodes, we have finally actually met the residential demand for our citizens, which is so awesome. For this area, we're going to let there be zoning, but it's going to be short. It's going to only be 2 deep. I'm sure there'll be some nice houses along here getting to look at, which will be cool. And then here, we will do 1 or 2 houses going up this way, but that's it. The rest of this is going to get a nice little smattering of trees, especially around the cemetery. You know, let's turn on Anarchy and put a few of them in the cemetery. Maybe we'll just have to do those by hand. Get some larger oaks in here as well. And just fill that section in. All right, so you guys desperately need some educated workers. I know that a lot of our education buildings burned down. Working on that. I'm going to go ahead and empty that cemetery. Any other cemeteries over here we want to empty? I don't think so. Does North Park have a theme turned on? No, it's just considered Waffle County. Well, North Park, what you've done with these houses is like actually wonderful, and I'm loving it. I love how full this parking lot is. I hate that people are parking on that road, so we're going to quickly change that. Turn all this parking off. If you'd like to park, please use the lot. There's 3 lots, ample lots for you to park in. All right, we'll turn off all of this. Okay, I think this looks good. It does need some more workers. But we have finally, I mean, look at this. We finally have met this residential demand, which means that we can finally begin to think about factories and expanding some of that. I also just like that this is filling this sliver of land. And we didn't get to the stadiums, but it's neat that the stadiums are going to be sunken down over here. Because they're a little bit higher than these highway roads, we can actually begin to bridge over the highway instead of constantly having our highway raised. I just think we're really starting to get this spot into a good area. So let me know what you guys think of this. Hopefully the road issue fixes itself. This happens a few times here and there, and I've learned now from experience just to leave it alone. It will fix itself. Like, none of my mods are new. I haven't added anything different to the game in a few weeks, so I'm pretty confident it can fix on its own. But yeah, we're gonna let this keep filling out. I think that's all I've got for you guys today. So go ahead and let me know what you think of Belmont. If there's anything we want to see improved in this area, tell me what you think of this train station, which does seem to be working. Let's see what trains come in here next. Blue, 359. It's at 273. And it lets other people off. Wonderful. And then we've got, I think, a yellow and a blue coming in through here soon. So we'll see what happens with those. But guys, that's where we're going to leave this part here. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you all in the next one.